More than 2,000 years ago, in the heart of South India, a temple was built that still confuses modern science. Inside this temple stand massive stone pillars, each one carved from solid granite, each one weighing several tons. But when these pillars are gently tapped, something impossible happens. They sing. Different pillars produce different musical notes. Some sound like strings, some like bells, some like an entire instrument hidden inside stone. No wires, no hollow chambers. Just solid rock. How did ancient builders turn stone into music? And why has modern technology still struggled to fully explain it? This is the mystery of the Meenakshi Temple. And the deeper you look, the stranger the story becomes. The city of Madurai in southern India is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Long before modern nations existed, this city was already a thriving center of trade, culture, and spirituality. At the center of it all stands the Meenakshi Temple, a massive temple complex dedicated to goddess Meenakshi and Lord Sundaraswar, a form of Shiva. From above, the temple looks like a giant sacred maze. 4 towering gateways called gopurams rise into the sky, each covered with thousands of colorful statues, gods, demons, warriors, animals, mythical creatures. Every surface is alive with detail. Some historians believe the earliest temple structure here may date back more than 2,000 years. But the grand complex we see today was mostly rebuilt during the 16th and 17th centuries by the Nayak rulers. They transformed the temple into an architectural wonder. But hidden inside this vast complex is something far more mysterious. A hall known as the 1,000-Pillar Hall. Despite the name, the hall actually contains 985 pillars, each one carved with incredible precision. But among them stands a group of pillars that behave very differently. These are the musical pillars. At first glance, they look like ordinary stone columns, tall, solid, heavy. But when a visitor gently taps them with their fingers or a small object, each pillar produces a clear musical note. Not random noise, actual tones. Some pillars produce deep sounds like a drum. Others produce high notes like a metallic chime. Even more strange, each large pillar is actually surrounded by several thinner stone rods carved from the same single block of granite. When struck, each rod creates a slightly different pitch. Together they form something like a stone xylophone. Think about that for a moment. These pillars are not made from separate pieces joined together. They are carved from one single block of rock, which means the ancient sculptors somehow shaped stone so precisely that it could vibrate at specific frequencies. Modern musical instruments require careful tuning, specific materials, exact measurements. But these instruments are made of granite. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth. Cutting it with today's machinery is already difficult. Yet centuries ago, craftsmen shaped it with tools far less advanced than what we have today. And somehow they achieved acoustic precision. How? Some researchers believe the secret lies in the density and internal structure of the stone itself. Different sections of granite can resonate differently depending on how they are carved. By adjusting the thickness and length of each stone rod, the sculptors may have been able to control vibration patterns. In simple terms, they turned stone into a resonating instrument. But here is where things get even more puzzling. Granite is extremely brittle. Carving thin rods out of a single block without breaking them is incredibly risky. One wrong strike with a chisel could destroy the entire structure. Yet the pillars survived, not just one or two, but many, which suggests something surprising. The builders likely understood both the mechanical strength and acoustic behavior of the stone before carving it. In other words, they may have possessed advanced practical knowledge of sound physics, long before modern acoustics was formally studied. Some historians believe this knowledge came from centuries of experimentation within temple architecture. Indian temples were not only places of worship, they were also centers of science, art, and mathematics. Sound played an important role in spiritual rituals, mantras, chants, bells, drums. Everything was designed to create vibrations. Many ancient texts even describe the universe itself as vibration. So it is possible that temple builders were deliberately exploring the relationship between sound and structure. But there is another theory, one that makes the mystery even deeper. Some researchers suggest that the musical pillars were not simply decorative or experimental. They may have served a ritual purpose. During certain ceremonies, priests or musicians could have played the pillars like instruments, creating sacred sound vibrations inside the temple hall. The entire stone structure could have acted like a giant resonating chamber, amplifying the sound, turning architecture into music. Imagine standing inside that hall hundreds of years ago, oil lamps flickering in the darkness, priests chanting ancient hymns, and stone pillars producing musical notes that echo across the temple. It would feel almost supernatural. But here is the strange part. The Meenakshi Temple is not the only place in India with musical pillars. Similar pillars exist in a few other temples, most famously in the Vitala Temple in Hampi. But many of those pillars were damaged over time. Some were even deliberately blocked by authorities to prevent tourists from striking them, because repeated tapping can slowly weaken the stone, which means the knowledge behind these structures may be fading. Modern engineers have tried to study these pillars in detail. Some used acoustic analysis. Others used structural scanning. Yet no one has fully recreated the exact method used by the ancient sculptors. Even today, reproducing the same effect with granite is extremely difficult. Think about that. We live in an age of lasers, computers, and advanced engineering. Yet a group of craftsmen working centuries ago managed to create something we still struggle to replicate. And this raises a bigger question. How much ancient knowledge have we lost? History often assumes that technology moves only forward. But sometimes knowledge disappears. Civilizations collapse. Techniques are forgotten. Skills vanish. And the secrets behind incredible creations are buried in time. The Meenakshi Temple might be one of those lost chapters. But there is another twist. Some acoustic experts believe the musical pillars might reveal something about how ancient architects designed entire temple complexes. Temples were often built with precise geometry, carefully aligned corridors, symmetrical halls, mathematical proportions. All of this could influence how sound travels through space. In other words, the temple may have been designed not only for visual beauty, but also for acoustic performance, a giant instrument made of stone. If that idea is true, it would mean ancient temple architects were thinking in ways very similar to modern acoustic engineers. Except they did it without computers, without digital simulations, only through observation and intuition. And yet the mystery is still not completely solved, because some pillars produce sounds that seem too clear and too precise for simple random carving. They behave almost like tuned instruments, which makes some researchers wonder if the builders used techniques that have completely vanished from historical records. Perhaps special tools, perhaps unique carving sequences, or perhaps knowledge passed down only through oral tradition, knowledge that disappeared when those craftsmen were gone. And here is the most fascinating part. Every day, thousands of people walk through the Meenakshi Temple. Many admire the sculptures. Many pray. Many take photographs. But very few realize that hidden among those pillars is a scientific puzzle that has lasted for centuries. A puzzle carved in stone. A silent instrument waiting to be heard. The temple stands as a reminder that ancient civilizations were not as primitive as we often imagine. They understood geometry, astronomy, engineering, acoustics, and they expressed that knowledge through art and architecture. But perhaps the most powerful mystery of the Meenakshi Temple is not just the musical pillars. It is the mindset of the people who created them. They believed that sound, space, and spirituality were connected, that vibrations could influence the human mind. Modern psychology now tells us that sound can deeply affect emotions and perception. Certain tones can calm the brain. Others can create tension or excitement. In a way, ancient temple builders may have been shaping not just buildings, but human experiences, designing spaces that influenced how people felt, how they prayed, how they connected with something greater than themselves. If that is true, then the musical pillars are not just an architectural curiosity. They are evidence of a deeper philosophy, a belief that the universe itself is built on vibration, and that even stone can sing. So the next time someone walks through the 1,000-pillar hall of the Meenakshi Temple, they might be standing inside one of the oldest musical experiments in human history. A place where art, science, and spirituality meet. A place where granite whispers melodies from centuries ago. And maybe the real mystery is not how the pillars produce sound. Maybe the real mystery is how ancient builders understood something we are only beginning to rediscover. That sound can shape space, and space can shape the human mind. But one question still remains. If craftsmen centuries ago could turn solid stone into perfectly tuned musical instruments, what other knowledge might ancient civilizations have discovered that the modern world has completely forgotten?